In this video, I want to show you how to apply ink onto the nib. Now in your toolbox, you have a bottle of walnut ink. And walnut ink is made up of walnut crystals with some liquid, which is mainly water. So usually what happens is when you have the bottle of ink sits on a surface for a while, the crystal will all settle on the bottom. So what we need to do is we can tilt the bottle up and down a couple of times like this. And then you can open it. Now try to avoid shaking the bottles because by shaking the bottles will create a lot of bubbles. Now once you have this, you can grab the tissue just to tap onto the edge of the ink bottle just to remove the excess of walnut ink. Now for the nib, we're going to dip it like the way I show you how to hold it, but this time when we dip into the ink, we will hold it vertically because this will be easier to apply ink onto the nib. So what you need to focus is make sure that there's an opening here. You can see that there's an eye, right? Or you can call the vent, which is the reservoir of the nib. So we will need to make sure the ink will pass the eye like this. Now you can see that there's ink in the eye, but the ink is not sticking onto the nib. The ink almost looks like there are little blobs on it, right? So because there's a layer of oil, this is usually the industrial layer of oil that protects the nib to protect it from getting rust. So what we need to do is we need to remove this oil so that the ink will stick onto the nib better. Now, the method we can use to clean the oil, remove the oil, is we can actually use the ink. You dip it in, and then you put it onto the tissue, and then you rub it. You clean it, the inside tunnel and also the front. Dip it again, using the ink to remove the oil. Now, I am pressing with some pressure. And you will start to see that the ink is sticking a little bit better onto the nib. And you repeat the process a couple of times. Now, usually a brand new nib has a thicker layer of oil on top because you have not removed it yet. But sometimes if you're using an old nib and let's say you just touch it with your finger while you insert it into your pen holder, your finger might have a very thin layer of oil that applied onto the nib as well. So every time when you write, check that and make sure there's no oil on top of the nib. Now once it's been removed, and you should see that the ink will stick better onto the nib, and you need to make sure that the eye is filled with ink.